We are taking you to the beautiful city of Arles in Provence in the south of France, arriving by train.
They have a Roman amphitheater that's about 2,000 years old and can hold 20,000 people. It's still in use today. And you see it's being renovated. It's all cleaned off now. They're really taking good care of that 2,000-year-old structure. Arles was an important Roman town founded by Julius Caesar about 2,000 years ago, and now it's one of the most charming places in all of Europe to visit. World famous as a beauty spot, and for a while it was the home of Vincent van Gogh when he was at his final and most productive period. There's a lot of these narrow streets in Arles. There's a small pedestrian zone. There's the various squares and the cafes around it, of course, and historic sites. And we'll be showing you those highlights coming up right now as we take a walk through Arles. The old town of Arles is comfortably small. It's about a square mile, so it's very easy to see the whole thing on foot. And you can easily spend 2 or 3 days here and enjoy the different museums, historic sites, the cafes around the squares, and the restaurants, of course. A good strategy for sightseeing in Arles is simply strolling up and down these little lanes, catch their different moods during the day, and also come back in the evening. Coming into one of the main squares of town, this is Place du Forum, and it's nearby where the ancient Romans had their forum. There's a statue of Mistral in the center of the square. Frédéric Mistral, he was a Nobel Prize winning poet who is a native of Arles and in fact invested his Nobel Prize money in creating a museum, a historic museum that still functions today in Arles. The center of town is fairly quiet because we're visiting in the month of November. It's very peaceful. Here's the cafe, or at least a reproduction of the cafe that Van Gogh painted, the night cafe scene. Really, just these little back lanes are so precious. You don't have to be so concerned about historic sites like great museums or major cathedrals, although Arles has those as well. But the charm of the back streets is so much of the essence of the towns of Provence, and especially here in Arles, perhaps the most beautiful of all the towns in Provence, although we'll let you make up your mind. We're going to take you to Aix-en-Provence later in the program. Many of the buildings in the town center were constructed in the Middle Ages. This is the old city hall built in 1675 to plans by the famous architect Hardouin Mansart. They have a public lobby with beautiful architecture dating back to the Renaissance, statues in the stairway alcove. The Hôtel de la Cité, it's right on a major square in the heart of town.